and that's why I can't go back to Wisconsin.
Hello, and welcome back to the Tales of the Whoniverse podcast. Hello, I am sideways for some reason. I'm slipping, and I'm back in the time tunnel here. This is bad. I have returned. I don't know if I've rolled my eyes, but it's one of those things. Good evening, everyone. We have literally finished the first run for Shutigatwa, so we will be back with him at Christmas time. Yes, oh yes, written by the wonderful Stephen Moffat, who will be back later in the year. But for now, we have the finale, written by Russell T Davies. It's the end of the first season of Shooty and Millie's run as the Doctor and Ruby. So we've been talking about the Empire of Death. Unit are on the scene. We've had the One Who Waits finally revealed in the last episode, and I've accidentally just clicked a clip from the One Who Waits episode, so I'm ever so sorry. I accidentally just clicked a clip where Kate got turned into sandust. Oops.
Oh, great! Now we're going to get copyright struck.
Oops, it's one of those nights, people. So yes, welcome back. As you know, I'm Matt. I'm the main host, but I'm also going to go around and reintroduce the house. Over to you, Aidan, and welcome back, Aidan.
Yeah, hello. It's good to be back again.
Yes, and to Uber Dan, welcome back.
Hello there, and I can assure everyone, despite the rumors, I am not the Lindbergh baby.
What?
Yeah, I don't get that one.
You what? What is that? What?
Charles Lindbergh, the guy who flew like around the world, and then when he came back, his baby got kidnapped.
What?
What?
He also went on to support Hitler.
I am so confused right now.
What is going on? Is he Dan hijacking the podcast and trolling again?
Don't
Oh,
worry,
God.
I am not that baby. That baby probably died over 100 years ago.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
We're so getting cancer for this, aren't we?
Oh, God.
Oh, damn, what have you brought from this cursed land?
Okay, let's move on.
How do we top that? Oh, yes, praise to the Great One. No, not the eight legs, it's the return of the one who waits. Sutek, the god of death, has returned. So tonight's episode, because we're live, is going to be a little bit different, because obviously it's the finale. We're going to start in reverse this time. We're going to start with negatives first, which we're going to shake up tonight, and then it'll be positives on the Empire of Death. So we're going to start with you, Uber Dan. Do you have any negatives about the episode first tonight?
Yeah, definitely the ending. Like the way Sutek was defeated and the reveal of Ruby's mom. It didn't stick it all the way. I would say it worked for me about 74% of the way. But the method was good. The execution, however, I feel like it does feel like Russell's usual Deus Ex Machina endings, but compared to most, it's above Series 3 and slightly above Series 2, but Series 1 and Series 4 and End of Time are still way better, and I think it makes some sense. It just doesn't make all the sense. I like that Ruby's mother was just a regular person. The idea that the belief that she was someone special somehow permeated into something big. I like the idea. It's just Russell definitely is trying to be a lot like Moffat, but his style just doesn't fit with Moffat's fairy tale aesthetic. I didn't hate it. I just think it could have been a whole lot better.
So, what do you think, Hayden? What do you think of the Empire of Death in the negatives of this episode for you?
Yeah, because I do have to agree with Dan about what he said, but because I know there was also like some things from Legend of Ruby Sunday that I felt weren't really fixed in the second half.
Yeah.
Mainly like, because I remember like in the Legend of Ruby Sunday, I think some of the main complaints there was like, or at least one of them was that people thought that there wasn't really much of a reason for Rose Temple Noble to be there. And unfortunately, like, it's kind of the case here where she doesn't really get much to do either. She ends up just like controlling the big robot and then just gets turned to dust.
Well, do you have any more negatives about it, or was that it for you for now, Aiden?
They like most of the other ones that were done, like kind of like already addressed. But I will say, like, this is kind of going more into a positive, like, kind of like doing a bit of a spin on it. Like,
go on.
Like the whole like Ruby's mum being like just somewhat ordinary. I didn't actually mind because I think people were thinking that. I might be wrong in this, but I did remember seeing a few people theorizing like, "Oh, who will Ruby's mum be? Will it be Susan? Will it be someone important? Will it be the Absorbaloff, or will it be those slugs from Dot and Bubble?" I don't know. You're trying to come up with better answers, but
I can believe it's Herbalov.
But yeah, like I did like that aspect where it's like Ruby's mum was like ordinary, but yeah, going back to the whole negative part, it's just like if she was so ordinary, like how is she that hard to find?
Well, I get this feeling because Russell said the story's not over. I have a feeling there is more to it coming when we get back to the next season. So I think this is set up for, we've now got the mum, but there's got to be a very important reason why she was hidden, even from the Doctor's memories during the time window.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
So, do I have any negatives of the episode? I don't really have any negatives of the episodes. It's only a small critiques, but not like it's not nitpicking. It's more or less how the execution was. Because in The Legend of Ruby Sunday, Mel was introduced, once again being part of the unit family, but it was like they kind of skipped over Ruby and her like meeting, because normally when the Doctor and their companions meet, they have a face to face. So for me, it was like Mel knew virtually everyone in the room but Ruby, so it felt like they had no interaction until the memory TARDIS. So that's my only gripe with it. Was like I've always preferred when companions talk about their history with their Doctor, but it made up for it in the memory TARDIS when Mel and the Doctor were talking about their past travels together. But what else was I say as a negative? I think when you read about how there was going to be 3 more Susan triads, like there was 3 different memories of her, like in 3 different places and 3 different stuff. Like one that she was going to be a nanny was cut from The Legend of Ruby Sunday. So it's like I really wish there was more of a prequel aspect about why Susan got taken and chosen upon by Sutek, because obviously they do allude to it, but it's never really stated because she's clearly a real living woman with that memories and that life. So I hope they ever explain like what she actually was before Sutek came to her. If not, I'm not too bothered about it, but I'd have to say, as another thing, it's the Roger William elephant in the room. So we come to know that the Doctor defeats him in the real timeline rather than the whole 73 yards timeline. So it makes you wonder if they're going to either A, revisit that, or B, it's just a deleted thing that Big Finish could plug in the gap. Because obviously, it seemed this season it felt like there was a load of deleted episodes and missing adventures. So it feels
Yeah.
like I know they had to sacrifice for the episode count, but if you're going to do these ones, I'd think something like that would have been important because Roger was really built up this season, and I hope that's not the last. Oh, there's the Harbinger. I was really liking the whole element of the Harbinger stuff, but they were very underused in this episode. So I do hope in the next season, because obviously they're hinting at their Harbingers might be back. I hope there's a bit more better use for them. But apart from that, no, I can't really think of any proper negatives with the episode. It's just those little aspects of. But apart from that, I had fun with the episode. But was the God of Death defeated easy? It was one of the most funniest defeats I think I've ever seen with Doctor Who. How can you defeat the God of Death? You put him on the leash.
Basically,
Yeah, you just take him for a walk in the time vortex.
it was like the dog from National Lampoon's Vacation, where Chevy Chase ties the dog to the car and doesn't put him in, and he gets dragged all throughout. And he doesn't even realize it until later on when a cop stops him and he shows him the trail of dead dog right behind him. It reminded me.
Also, go on after you, Dan. Sorry, cut out for me for a second.
Wait, what?
It cut out for me for a second. What did you say?
I said it reminded me of National Lampoon's Vacation, the comedy film from the 80s, wherein Chevy Chase ties her aunt or her mother's aunt's dog to the car, but he doesn't put the car in the he doesn't put the dog in the car. So without him realizing, they drive a long distance until they're pulled over by a police officer who shows him the trail. We don't actually see it. It's implied that there's a whole bloody trail of dead dog from where they were driving. It reminded me of that. Like we're basically gonna vacation him.
Yes, I was going to say it as well. I think what I quite found as funny as well when Sutek was pulled away, it kind of really reminded me of the whole Scooby Doo live action stuff with where it was more or less Scrappy Doo in Monsters Unleashed. It really reminded me of that, and that's why I couldn't stop laughing. I thought it looked very familiar. It just kind of looked like that when he's being pulled across the time board. But as I say, you can't fault Gabriel Wolf for turning 91, and hats off to him doing that voice once again. The only thing I would have liked is I like the fact they addressed that he evolved into that big dog type form, but it would have been nice because Sutek the Destroyer had that human form. It would have been nice for him to revert back into it for the final confrontation. But again, I'm biased on it. But hey, what I could say now is it's time to go back round the house. So go back round the way. This time we're going to start next with Aidan on the positives of the Empire of Death.
Yeah, because I will say, going back to what you were saying about Sutek, I will props off to Gabriel Wolf for doing the voice again, after nearly 50 years. Unless you're counting Big Finish and The True History of Faction Paradox, but yeah, we'll put that to the side for now. But yeah, I really enjoyed his performance as Sutek in this, and I will say, it was kind of interesting to see that he's latched onto the TARDIS probably since the Pyramids of Mars. Or at least I think that's how they
Yes, where he basically just a quick jump in on that, where he's been there, but he's been watching the Doctor, he's been looking at the memories of the Doctor. He was there on the Doctor's trial, he was there during the Time War, he was there when the Doctor met Rose. He basically was waiting in the shadows since that many years. He's watched so many Doctors regenerate.
Yeah, he's also experienced the Divergent universe, the War in Heaven.
Jack Harkness clinging to him.
Yeah, we also met witnessed.
Amy and
Yeah.
Rory.
I like to
Aiton Bernice.
I like to think that his essence was there, not like physically him, but like a small part of him that kept growing and growing, but that the TARDIS just didn't recognize.
And
And
it kind of puts a different perspective on the Doctor's wife as well. Because if Sutek was in there since the Doctor's wife, could you imagine Idris housing that beastie while House was in there?
yeah, and that he eventually like the events of Flux basically is what led to him and the other gods eventually, coming into the real world.
I think since Can You Hear Me, I think that kind of established the gods were returning because when they mentioned the Toy Maker and the Eternals, I think that was the time when Sutek knew it was about ready for him to return out in the shadows.
Yeah, and that was when
Yeah.
he set out all of his plans. Basically. That's
Also,
how
continue, Aiden.
Yeah, I was going to say, and Sutek could come back and be like, I bring Sutek's gift of milk to all human life. That'll be 48 pence, please.
Ever since you told me about that, that's just on par with the late Stephen Fawns, what? And all that.
Ah, yes. And I had to actually at least reference that mockumentary.
Yes. But, sorry, back to you, Uberdan. So what was your positives of the Empire of Death?
I definitely thought that Sutek's plans basically. I thought his plan was phenomenal. I mean, having to destroy every place that the Doctor has ever been, and then watching everything turn to sand and dust in the way the Doctor reacts to it. I thought that was powerful. It really shows how all of Shooty's performances throughout the season just felt like this is a build up to him just breaking down all the way here. I thought the use of the memory TARDIS was really fun. There are little bits and pieces. You have the traditional old school TARDIS thing on top. You got Colin's clothes that Mel is grabbing onto as a way to remember. It's really nice. I I love that scene, where it's weeks later, and the Doctor comes upon this woman, and I initially thought, did they forget to put audio to the baby? Then I realized, oh, that's what she means, and I thought, holy crap, that's tragic. And well, yes, you could say that it's obviously they're gonna do a whole reset button. For me, it's not so much that it is a reset button, but does it earn it? Does it feel like it's worth the reset button? I say yes, because of how they figure out the plan, what we see in those that time between Sutek's plan and it being foiled. I thought the way that was handled, even if you know it's going to be reset, you don't know how. I feel like that's the important part there. How it will be reset, and of course, the biggest moment is when Ruby reunites with her birth mother, and I thought if there's one thing that Russell excels at, it's the human drama, and this is by far one of the best, not the best, but definitely up there of what he's written.
Oh, yes. Oh, now it's time for my positives on Empire of Depth. So I think everyone's covered the big god of death, so mighty return. Praise to the Sutek. But it was so funny. I now understand what they meant that Tales would tie into the season. If you were like us here in England, it might appear at YouTube at some point for those to watch. It was basically the Pyramids of Mars omnibus where they updated the special effects, and the fact they included that in the Empire of Death was just a special treat if you just watched that this week. And for those who couldn't, that felt like a luxurious bonus. I just love the fact in that, Shooty basically just brushed off the Fourth Doctor as not being him, because I think that was done for two reasons. One, he's still not very quite open about the whole regeneration aspect with Ruby. But two, I think he didn't want to weird her out. That, well, yeah, once upon a time, I travelled with a big long scarf, had long curly hair, and I didn't look like the Doctor you see now. So I think it was just safe to downplay it. But with Mel, he was like, yeah, we travelled together. And the fact that he snuck at the time and the Rani reference, and literally this episode was like, we met Einstein. And she's like, did we? I can't remember, because the whole Sutek stuff. But I thought Susan's makeup was terrifying last week. I felt so heartbroken when I saw Bonnie's makeup in this one, where the Doctor cried because he thought she was dead. I think it was, again, I've been loving how Mal's been so developed, and I still believe Russell praised to be him. He's not said it, or he might have done it in Vision or Unleashed, because I need to go watch those. He could have confirmed that Mel meeting the Daleks was definitely a big finish stream, because there was never Mel meeting the Daleks back in like her time on TV. So maybe this is another sign of the window that the tides are changing for the TV aspect while he's filling in the gap.
Yes. Shout out to the Juggernauts and We Are the Daleks.
But yes, I think what I've loved this whole run of this season is it's Ruby's family have made it for me. Cherry Sunday and her and Mrs. Flood being like two besties after last week, where I thought Mrs. Flood was going to like smother her with the pillow. I was like, what on earth was going on?
And yet she's still waiting for that cup of tea.
Where's the plastic cup of tea? Well, we'd all like a lot of things, sweetheart. That ain't going to happen.
It's weird.
What's that supposed to mean?
It's weird how she dresses like Clara, then dresses like Romana at the end. What's up with that?
Well, we'll get on to theories in just a minute, because obviously we'll be actually, because tonight on the live we'll be talking a little bit about who is like Mrs. Flood and what's kind of got next a little bit. But going back to my positivities, I think this has been it's been a fun ride this season. I'm sure there are bits that were missing, sure bits that and the other, but I'm sure, because unfortunately because Shitty was unavailable, I think they're going to make up for it the next season. So I think this was to introduce it to a new audience. I think Sutek was clever because it fills in the gap for people who have never watched Classic Who or have no interest into it. So we've just seen, like, say, Brazil, for example, probably have never seen Tom Baker as the Doctor. And via those clips of Tales of the TARDIS, those countries have just seen the Fourth Doctor for the first time, like all the holograms back on Rogue. So that's what I've been impressed with. The music's been wonderful, but my all-time favourite scene, I know we know about the reset, but we've seen Kate literally heartbroken and being turned into dust. Gemma Redgrave always is a scene stealer as Kate, and it's great that they're actually showing what she's doing for UNIT. And please note, if you're above the age of 18, there is no UNIT recruiting at the minute.
She did recruit Susan.
Oh, yeah, but that's a different kettle of fish. She inherited her. Yeah, so the Doctor's... So if your Doctor's companion, if you used to travel with him or her, or if you basically was a former enemy, or if you are above legal age, you can come work on the payroll. Looking at you, Morris Gibbons.
I'm sure that he went to UNIT. Maybe he was interested in aliens. Who knows?
But who gives a kid machine guns in like a Segway? I couldn't stop.
Yeah, I was still surprised about that. Like
maybe that was it.
So yeah, UNIT condones violence for young people. That's even worse.
Oh dear.
They've kind of really changed. A unified intelligence task force designed to keep secrets when they were both the old unit, and this unit is out in the open, and they're like using kids to like take down the air. Oh, don't worry, we've got weeping angels. Morris, use your gun segue. And then it gets even better. I was like, "Go on, Aidan. You wanted to say something."
Yeah, I was gonna make the joke, just like, oh no, someone's coming out of the TARDIS. Open fire! Oh wait, it's the Seventh Doctor.
It's like, not
Oh
again.
shoot, what have we done? We've ruined the timeline.
Well, don't worry, it's the one from Tails because he's already lived through that bullet shot. He's
Oh
like,
no! Oh no! Oh no!
He's like, oh, not again.
Another timing malfunction.
So, on my positive, was it again? Has this season been one of the greatest seasons of Doctor Who? Well, it's up to your perspective. For me, it's been one of the funnest seasons. Every episode has been like a little treat, and if you didn't understand an episode, at least there was always a twist at the end. And we got her. We got the real Susan Triad. We got basically, we got another clue into the mystery of Roger Ap Gilliam. I don't think that's going to be the end of the line for him, because it sounds like the Doctor and him have got their face to face still to come properly. But no, I was over the moon. I loved the fact that Mel basically, she was happy to learn about Sutek. And for people in England who saw another positive on a separate side note, if you watch the one show, and Cyndi Lauper, the Time After Time woman, knows who Sutek is because she watched Tales of the TARDIS. So that was so wonderful. That was so wonderful. Doctor Who has become such a phenomenon where more celebrities are watching the show, like real big names, because we've had Jinx Monsoon this season and all this stuff. And it all boils down to one of my favourite people as well, like in the Doctor Ruby. I also loved Carla. The Carla went literally, I wasn't sure about her back on Church on Ruby Road to being an absolute favourite. Her and Cherry are absolute stars.
Yeah, absolute icons.
Yeah, can we get a spin off of Cherry Sunday, please, Russell? Only Nans.
The one who waits for the cup of tea.
Yes, yeah. We're gonna start her on. Oh, she's like, oh, that magic doctor man promised me a cup of tea if I, started to get a bit frisky.
Oh no!
I love them. I wish we had more of them, because compared to most of the families Russell wrote, they haven't been in a lot.
But I think it's more for the adoption aspect. But he did say, it's not the end of this story. We'll be seeing more about Ruby's family coming up next year.
On the one hand, I can see why. It's Russell trying to do something different. He has the family, but he's not going to focus on them too much. So,
no, but I think it's going to be different for Ruby's story, because it seems like she's back to Earth. So I think we're going to see a bit more Cherry and Carla next season.
Ears open.
Yes. So what was I going to say? So theories. So who is that blasted woman? Who is Mrs. Flood? Because I thought she was going to be revealed as a harbinger, because she was very menacing towards Cherry about the one who waits. So I have this sneaky feeling, if she's not her, and she dressed conveniently like Clara, Karina Romana, I have a feeling she could be the White Guardian, because obviously if the Toymaker's defeated, the voodoo dolls probably snap back. So this is probably the White Guardian off the leash and not very happy with the universe. Maybe taking the Black Guardian's position now. Could you imagine they've done a role reversal? Like this female iteration of the White Guardian's evil in this timeline, because given what happened. But we'll see. But I'm not going to be crazy and making it the Valyard or everyone else under the planet is Mrs. Flood.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. I got it. I got the beautiful idea. It's super. She's not Mrs. Flood. She's Mrs. Absorbaloff.
Of course.
You've dabbled with mysteries. Now meet the genuine article.
Oh yes. That's one way to open up the floodgate. Ooh.
It's all together.
Oh god, that pun was just terrible.
I'll be here all week. And I'm booking my Uber again.
Oh dear.
Wow. Well, it's been a long day, alright. What do you want from me? I'm not in the comical troupe at the. But over to you, Dan. Do you have any theories on who Mrs. Flood is for you?
She said, like, before she got dusted, oh, I had such a wonderful plan, and now I'm wondering, like, especially what she said at the end. Is she gonna be like the one who kills this doctor? Like, does she know the future? Does she know the doctor like from a previous life? Like, I have no idea yet, but there's so many things. One thing I had hoped that this episode would end on a cliffhanger, dealing leading to the Christmas special, much like how RTD did in the past. And I was really hoping that the cliffhanger would just be the Doctor walking, and then or in the TARDIS, and then just opening as he's walking to the TARDIS, or opening the door because someone's knocking. It's Susan, played by Carol Ann Ford. And well, here's hoping we finally get to see her soon. Maybe Christmas special, maybe next season.
I have the feeling after the way he talked to Ruby, I think it's time. I think he's going to try and go back for it in the post-Dalek invasion, because on the TV timeline, that's where we left her.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah, and the actual, or in my opinion, the actual timeline, the Eighth Doctor went back to see her plenty of times. Even the War Doctor saw her a few times.
The only contradiction I've noticed with the show is the 5 Doctors, and I was saying that to somebody else a while before we go to your theories about Mrs. Flood, is it seems a very weird subject with the show. They will address it, like, when they left, the Doctor said, "Oh, I nicked this from the Master of the Death Zone," and yet Sarah doesn't. Obviously, Sarah was with, like, a past Doctor when she was on the Death Zone, but you're telling me the Brigadier, who was currently out of unit, he was basically only associated with 5 and then doesn't even remember Susan, and you're telling me that the 5 Doctors, that the Doctor never saw Susan again because he literally saw her. She was in his TARDIS.
Yes.
Yeah, it's now that you mention it, that is kind of like a weird thing. Like maybe the Brigadier just never felt the need to bring it up.
And also,
but then again, it's like a
TARDIS
pretty big thing to bring up, or not to bring up, like the Doctor having a grandchild.
And also, a pretty big thing is that the Doctor kept saying that he's not seen this as the Dalek. Hello, she was there with Tegan Javanka when they basically was in the Death Zone on Gallifrey.
Yeah, and then she also had had a son called Alex who got exterminated by the Daleks. And okay, I'm going too much into big fish territory now.
Well, that's...
Yeah.
But yeah, just like, please don't erase this from canon.
Yeah. So, what's your theories, Aidan, about Mrs. Flood?
I'm not so sure, because I think the safe bet would probably be possibly another Time Lord. Like, I mean, there's a few guesses, probably the safest one probably being the Master, although I'm kind of hoping it's not at the same time.
The monk?
Possibly. I mean, we don't know that monks can regenerate. We've seen heard other forms of incarnations of Big Finish, like Graham Garden, Rufus Hound.
Yeah.
So who knows? Maybe it could be, but we'll just have to find out.
Yeah.
Could be Durrani.
Yeah. So I was going to say, so I think we've covered a lot of the basics on here. So I think we're all now very excited that Christmas is coming for Doctor Who. So our next special, we will see the return of Stephen Moffat in the writing helm for Christmas and his 50th episode for Doctor Who. It will be the first time that the Doctor will not be having Ruby under the TARDIS. So it's his first solo adventure. So it's technically his birth in the Giggle. Yeah, I know he had Donna, but for 15, this is his first proper solo outing without his current companion. So
yeah,
what I'm excited for is what's to look ahead. So we know Christmas is coming. We know a couple of things are coming for next year. My hopes for next season, right, is the editing room. It's like they cut a lot of stuff very fast. So it's like it's not Shooty or Millie's fault. You're not understanding episodes. I think at times it's like they go scene rather than slowing down for people to breathe and retain it. It's not complicated. It's just the editing aspect. I'd like the editing side just to go a little bit slower, so you get more chances to see like the beautiful scenery and see what's going on. If it's a running scene, that's fine. But when you're trying to take the story information in, I think they're cutting bits out for timing purposes, because they said there have been a lot of cuts on this season. So I'm hoping with next year now, because we've got Millie back and we've got Varaday, our brand new companion next year. I think it's going to be absolutely a fun treat where we're going next. But what's anyone's hopes for like the future of Doctor Who? And yes, it could be returns as well, because obviously Sutek's obviously the big bad for this filler. Do we feel there's going to be returning monsters for finales? Because I have the feeling that's what Russell wants to do.
Yeah, I was going to say I'll start. Yeah, I'll probably start because I'd say I have two kind of main hopes, which would be like the first one. I'm not 100% sure how it will go with like production and everything, but probably to have like maybe not like 13 episodes again, but maybe like 10, like maybe to help like just give us like maybe like one or two more stories, like to actually like go into like more go more in depth with certain parts of a season. Like that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing is like in terms of returning villains. Now this is going to be an interesting one that I would like to see, like, which should probably be the Mara.
Oh yes, now known as the God of Beasts.
Yeah, like for example, if they ended up doing a story with Giant Fielding returning as Tegan Javanka, then I could definitely see the Mara definitely making a comeback.
Oh yes, because they were hinting that in that last collection trailer that the Mara returned for Tegan.
Yeah, and maybe the Mara could return properly to the show.
Oh yes, oh yes. But I see you, Dan. Do you have any hopes for the next season coming up?
Did I enjoy this season? Yes. Were there a lot of problems with it? Also, yes. I felt like maybe Russell really needs to like finales don't always have to be huge. Like what the like series 9 and series 10 both had great finales that were small. I feel like Russell needs to know how to be small. Not always too grand and too big. Let's see. Better character development. I can agree that, yeah, Shooty and Millie were great, but we didn't really get to know too much with 15 and Ruby. They had great chemistry, and I love both of them. I love both 15 and Ruby. There's not a lot to their characters in terms of like what makes them so compatible. Yes, they're both basically orphans who were found by other people, but other than that, I want more character development, not just really fast. Like one problem is I like the writing, but a lot of it was trying to be both what Russell did before while also trying to incorporate like what streaming is like. And the two did not mix as well. I'm hoping it gets better. I liked it, but there were still a lot of issues with it. Because I'm also hoping some more returning villains, but not like the Daleks or Cybermen or Master, because they tend to feature way too much. Something like, I don't know, Ice Warriors, or like Aiden said, the Mara, or the Monk. I do find it odd that of the Doctor says 3 specific gears that Sutek is destroying. 1066, which is the events of, I think, the Time Meddler, hence the Monk. 1999, which are the events with TV movie, so maybe something's going on with the rest of the TV movie, and of course 2005 when the show came back. But here's hoping more foes that are returning, but aren't ones that don't return on a regular basis. And of course, finding Susan. But yeah, those are what I want to see.
Wonderful. Well, I think that just about wraps us up for tonight's Empire of Death review. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for everyone being back here again for the Tales of the Whoniverse podcast. Just wanted to say we will be back next week where we'll be inviting nearly every member on deck for like their opinions and their retrospective onto the season as a whole, what they thought about Shooty and Millie's first year. But if that doesn't happen next week, we're going to be sitting down to schedule with our members because we want to hear from them. And obviously, we want you to all know that we've had a fun ride, but it'd be nice to hear different opinions and different takes on the season as a massive look back and a thank you to Shooty for his first year. I've been Matt. I've been your host of the Tales of the Whoniverse podcast. I nearly said that wrong because I had to put my teeth back in. I don't worry, I don't have any dentures. It's been a bit of a long day. Yes, I'm not a granny. Yes, and I hear what I made to be. Yes. Oh, sorry, I seem to have slipped into a different whole aspect. But I just wanted to say thank you again to also Aidan for being here again. Thank you.
Yeah, it was great to be here, and I hope you all enjoyed tonight's episode. And if you enjoyed, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the official Tales of the Whoniverse YouTube channel. And of course, yes, Queen, slay.
And to you, Vajan, say good night to the people out there. What do you have to say?
Well, goodbye, and if I don't see you again, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
And thank you so much. We will be back. And then once, as I say, we are still working for our backlog to get things out of there. So we will be doing that. But then once the retrospective is done, we will be taking a little short break. Actually, we'll be taking a little bit of a hiatus on the main stuff. So we will be rebranding as Tales of the Whoniverse Presents up until Christmas for Doctor Who. So we'll be doing things again, as I say, like Star Wars, Star Trek, virtually any show out there. We're going to start reviewing together and giving opinions on. So thank you so much again. And we'll be also working on those coming up in the next couple of weeks. So thank you so much and good night.
Good night.